everyone, it's Jordan. Today I'm be talking about the books that I've read recently. So I've read a bunch of books the last couple of months. I honestly don't remember when I did the last recent books I've read recently video, but it's been a while and I just thought I'd talk about some more books that I've read recently. So yeah, let's get to the books that I've read recently. So the first book that I've read recently is Well Met by Jen DeLuca, which is about a woman who's decided to volunteer at the Renaissance Fair to help her niece with a essay or something like that. I'm trying to remember, it's been a while since I've read it. And then she meets another Renaissance actor, and that's all whole story goes. I love this book so much. I've always wanted to go to Renaissance Fair. That's why I read this book, because it literally transferred me to the Renaissance Fair, because it takes place at the Renaissance Fair, and I really love the characters. I just love Simon, and I love Emily. I just can't wait to read more books of this series, because I know they're companion novels, as far as I know, and yeah, I'm just really curious about the rest of the books of this series, but yeah, I give this 5 stars. And the next book that I've read recently, I actually don't have with me because it was a library book, is Library Wars by, let me look up the author because I have my phone right here, Kiro Yumi. That's that's as best as I could to pronounce the author's name. But if you haven't read the first volume, it's like, the world is actually very interesting, because it's like, there's a police force, but there's also a librarian police force, and that's all I remember. That's how I could describe it. And I really like that manga. I really like the world, and I just love the characters, and it really reminds me of like a dystopian novel, in my opinion. But a librarian as like its own police force kind of thing. That's what I like about it, and I can't wait to continue on with the series. I actually don't know how many volumes there are in that series versus other mangas that I've read, but either way, I'm just really excited to continue on with this series. And of course, I don't remember what I rated it. I still gave it 5 stars. And the next book that I've read is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is basically about a woman who's rising her stardom, and then there's a reporter who's writing a biography based on Evelyn Hugo. I love this book. I know this is one of the popular books from Taylor Jenkins Reid, and it was the one that I haven't read yet. I know she has a new one that just came out about a tennis player or something like that, but I can't wait to read that. But I love this book. I could not put this down because I was wondering like who her husbands were, and basically Evelyn Hugo's life, and I'm just like, it just really reminds me of a lot of old movies that I used to watch, like back in that came out like in the 50s or 60s. That just remind me of that, and I'm just really a big fan of those films because of how people made those movies back in those days versus in modern day. And this is like definitely one of my favorites of Taylor Jenkins Reid, because I know Daisy Jones is still my #1 favorite, and this is definitely #2 for me because I just really enjoyed it that much. And yeah, and I also gave us 5 stars. And the next book that I've read is Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. This is the last book in These Violent Delights duology, and you haven't read the first book. The first book is a Romeo and Juliet retelling that takes place in 1920s Shanghai, and that's basically the whole synopsis of it. I just love this book so much. I love it as much as the first one. I've read this on audiobook, which I don't usually do when I listen to, like, when I read the first book physically, but I just couldn't help it, and I just tested it out, and I like the sound of the narrator, so I'm just like, yeah, I'm definitely listening to this on audiobook. And oh my gosh, there was just a lot going on, and I'm just like, couldn't believe what happened, and I'm just like, couldn't put it down, and I'm just glad that I've read this, and I'm just love this duology so much, and it's definitely becoming one of my favorite duologies, and I definitely want to read more from this author because, oh my gosh, I just love her writing style, and I just love her world building, especially in a historical fiction setting and in another country that I'm not familiar with, and I'm just like, I want to read more from her. And I believe her latest book takes place in a same world as these violent delights, but I'm not sure. But either way, this is a 5-star read for me, for sure. And the next book that I've read recently, well, technically, I've read parts of it, and then I DNF'd it, and it's The House of the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I really gave this book a try. I gave it 100 pages, and I just couldn't get into it, and I apologize for everybody who loves this book. I just don't know why. I just don't feel connected to this book for some reason, and I just really couldn't get past 100 pages. I don't know why, and again, I apologize to everybody who loves this book. I'm happy for you that you love this book, but I just couldn't get into it. So this was a DNF for me, and I apologize because I know everybody loves this book, but it wasn't for me. And the next book that I read recently is The Keepers of the Lost City by Shannon Messenger. This is about a girl who's discovered that she's an elf, but she was raised by humans, and then she's went to another world where other elves lives, and that's from what I remember from reading this book, and I really enjoyed it. I found it really interesting about how, like, the main character is not human, and she just didn't know why she has these powers and all that, and until she meets Fitz, and I'm just really excited to continue on with this series, because I know it's like how many books are there in this series? I think there's like 9 now, as far as I know. I don't know. I still new to this middle grade. I still love it, and I can't wait to continue on with the series, and yeah, I give this 5 stars. And the next book that I've read recently is Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is a companion novel to Illuminate, a sequel to Illuminate, and it's about, anybody I haven't read Illuminate's about 2 people who just broke it up and they went on a space mission, and that's from what I can remember, but this follows a different couple, Hannah and Nick, and for some reason I really like the couple from this one more than the first one, which is Katie and Ezra, I think. But I honestly listened to this on audiobook, and I still really enjoy the audiobook. It's weird, like, I really thought, I don't know, I forgot how much I enjoyed the audiobook, and I am planning on finishing up the series and see how I feel for the series as a whole. But I think it's really a decent sci-fi series, and I really think they should turn the series into a TV show, because from listening to the audiobook, it just really sounds like a really cool TV show to me. But yeah, either way, I really enjoyed this, and I really enjoyed the characters, and I just can't wait to finish the final book in the trilogy, and I give this 4 stars. Another book that I DNF'd, and I recently read while I DNF'd it, is sadly another popular book that I thought I was gonna like, but I couldn't get past 100 pages. Yet again, it's Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I'm willing to give Sarah J. Maas a second chance, don't get me wrong. I was very late into the Throne of Glass game, and I just couldn't get into it. I like the first 100 pages, it was interesting, but I just couldn't get past the 100-page mark, and I'm happy for people who love Throne of Glass, but I just don't think it will be a series for me personally, and I literally tried going past 100 pages, and I just couldn't. But I apologize for people who love this series. I just couldn't get into it. So yeah, and this was a DNF for me, but at least I tried. The next book that I've read recently, I also don't have because it was a library book, which is Thor Love God of Thunder, The God Butcher Volume 1 by Jason Aaron is his name. I read this comic book just because of Thor Love and Thunder, and I found it really interesting, and I don't know why, it felt literally more gory than the movie, which I know, like, they had to line up the gore for me, I don't know, but I found it really interesting, and I know, like, I still have more questions about this comic. Kevin, my husband, told me that if I should continue on with the comic book series so I would know what's going on, and I saw a lot of dates from the comics that showed up in the movie, which was really cool, and me reading the comic itself it just surprised me. So yeah, I really enjoyed this comic, and I don't remember if I gave this 4 stars or that 4 stars. 4 stars or 5 stars. I don't know, but yeah. But either way, I decently enjoy this comic either way. And the last book that I've read recently is These Deadly Games by Diana Urban, who is the author of All Your Twisted Secrets. And if you haven't read These Deadly Games, is about a girl whose sister gets kidnapped, and a kidnapper contacts her telling her that she cannot call the police or tell anybody about it, or her sister gets killed if she... And then literally forces her to play this game that this kidnapper has. And I've read this on audiobook, and I was just curious about it, and oh my gosh, there was a lot of mess ups. I think I did a pattern of listening to this on audiobook and reading it physically, because I've just been like, oh my gosh, I really want to know what happens next, and I couldn't, like I couldn't help myself but switch back and forth on the audiobook and physical book, because I was loving it so much. But I honestly was very surprised on that twist. I don't know why that twist was like, who would do that to this person? But I'm not gonna say what it is, because spoiler alert, but still, I'm just really very mind blown with this one, as much as All Your Twisted Secrets. And yeah, I give this 5 stars, and it was my most anticipated release of the year, and I'm just glad that I've read what I did. So again, 5 stars. So that's all the books that I've read recently. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up and comment down below what books that you've read recently. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button, click the bell icon so you don't find I post new videos. Also, you can follow me on social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads, which all links will be down below for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!